Allow me to introduce myself. I am the Everywhere Man.
John Marlowe, who is indirectly the Everywhere Man, is a friend of Bruce Wayne's and an art collector as well as a scientist who wished to help people and/or the world with his technology. However, as we all know, in Gotham, that wish will come with a price to pay. Sometime while away at one of his labs, John created a unique prototype device that would allow John to clone himself. He would use this clone, who we'll call 1, as a partner to continue his future work, such as the work on the Quantex device, which is the machine that allows John to clone himself. Now, there's a few reasons for this, but I'll just name the more obvious two. The first reason is what I stated a second ago whenever I said he would use his clone as a partner to continue his future work. And the second reason is because John didn't have much of a social life. He's always been more of a recluse rather than a party goer. But as I said earlier, he is friends with Bruce Wayne, and Bruce paints John as a kind person. And that's what John is. Kind. Like I said, he wants to help others, provide technology and/or resources that could help the masses. There's another point I'll bring up to circle back to this point, but for now, let's move on. John's clone would eventually stay around so long that he would form his own desires and free will. However, the clone's desires involved criminal activity, and every clone after him that would form its own free will and desires would have much darker desires and thoughts than the clone that came before. One would then imprison John, and he would go on to impersonate as the real John from there on out. One then returns to Gotham, with him hosting a party where he shows off his art. Eventually, one has a clone attempt to steal from him, so it paints him as innocent. Batman then shows up and chases the clone into a closet, where the clone has vanished, with it being called back to the Quantex device that one is in possession of. After this, some time passes, and one has his clone steal from the Gotham Museum of Art. This is where Batman and Robin realize that this art thief isn't just one thief, but actually multiple. But they've yet to see the situation for what it truly is. That is until Robin suggests that John may be behind this. Bruce then goes to see one, who Bruce believes to be the real John as of right now, at the same building where the first thief vanished in the closet. Through this meeting, Bruce finds out that something is off with John, who is actually one, and when Alfred sees the radiation inside of John, again, who is actually one, it confirms that something is indeed off. After the meeting, Batman and Robin would then head back to the building, and this is where Batman would see for himself that the thieves are clones of John. The clones then bring Batman to one, where they have another discussion. This time, Batman is using this meeting to gather information on where the real John Marlowe is. Batman also lets one know that he knows one is just another clone. Meanwhile, Robin finds the real John Marlowe and breaks him out of his cell. Now back with Batman, after he sees how each clone after becomes more corrupt than the last, and once he knows that John Marlowe is in the building, he uses his smoke pellets to make a run for it. He's eventually caught at the atrium, where Batman fights an army of clones. After a while, Robin shows up with the prototype device strapped to his chest with the real John Marlowe by his side. Robin then clones himself and sends his clones into battle. However, the fight was short-lived as the prototype device wasn't built for uses such as this. At this point, Batman remembers that the clones have their own free will and uses this against one. Batman then tells the clones that one doesn't have a use for all of them and that he'll eventually just erase them all. This revelation turns some of the clones against one, and they begin charging after him in order to get the Quantex device. One deletes his army of clones, and Batman and Robin grapple up to him. One refuses to accept defeat, saying he'll just keep creating an army, but then John grabs the arm of one that has the Quantex device on it and deletes him. Remember when I said I'd circle back to the point of John being a good guy? Well, it's now. After John deletes one, he falls to his knees and says,
I thought I could help people everywhere, but all I am is nowhere man.
And after he resumes his life, he donates his entire collection to the Gotham Museum of Art. John also feels immense guilt for everything that's happened with the clones, taking full responsibility for the chaos. This shows us that John isn't and wasn't a bad person at all. Now, moving off of the personality and life of John Marlowe and on to the design and voice actor. John's design is very simple, but like every other design within this show, it's fitting and effective. It shows us that he's not worried about looking the best all of the time, but that doesn't mean he won't dress for the occasion. Then you have the design of Everywhere Man, which, in all honesty, is not my favorite design within this series, but it still actually fits within the universe, especially when you start to think about some of the other designs, like Cluemaster's design, Gearhead's design, and even Francis Gray's design. They're all simple, yet very effective. Now, on to John's voice actor. The voice behind John Marlowe is that of Brandon Routh, who really helped in driving home the humanity within this character. And for those that didn't know, Brandon Routh played Superman in the 2006 Superman Returns movie, as well as Ray Palmer, aka The Atom, in the Arrowverse. So huge shout out to Brandon Routh for playing two iconic characters within the DC universe. With all that said though, this has been the exponential madness of the Everywhere Man. If you made it this far into the video, comment down one of your favorite lines and or quotes from the 2004 The Batman series. I always love to hear y'all's opinions. And with my ramblings out the way, it's been ugly, and I'll see y'all in the next one.